What is up, guys? This is Brad with College SportsCast. We are here to do week 10 of the college football for our game day pick-em. Hey, guys, welcome in. It is Brad with College SportsCast. I've got John Hammonds on here with me. It's Friday night. Friday nights, we always do our game day pick for the weekend, and it is week 10, John Hammonds.
Getting pretty, getting close to the nitty-gritty, ain't we?
Yeah, so after this weekend, the first college football playoff rankings will come out after this weekend.
Tuesday, I believe it is.
1st of November, they do, Tuesday. So we're getting down to it now. All right, guys, if you are on Facebook with us, you can help support us by sending stars. Sending stars helps us to earn money, to continue to make more content. And you can also subscribe to our page on Facebook now. It's only 99 cents a month, and it does give you a subscribers page that is just for subscribers. So if you do that, you get a little bit of more info. I post a few things on there. Posted something yesterday on there, some news. And I try to keep a few things on there for you guys that subscribe. So a couple of things there. And we will move on. I'm going to start with something just a little bit different. We have been doing these and on Friday nights, and the past few weeks especially, there's been quite a few games kind of going on beforehand. This week actually started on Tuesday. I'll do a little bit of a scoreboard real quick. FIU beat New Mexico State 34-13. Louisiana beat Texas State in the Sun Belt 23-17. Louisiana is having a pretty good season. Sam Houston beat La Tech 9-3 on Tuesday night. And then on Wednesday night, Liberty lost again. Jacksonville State beat them 31-21. And Western Kentucky beat Kennesaw State 31-14. I don't think people realize Western's only lost those two games. And that was to Alabama and Boston College. And then last night, Tulane demolished Charlotte at home on the road for Tulane, 34-3.
John Summerall. Summerall.
Yes.
I had to do.
John Summerall. John Summerall is proven that he can win wherever he goes. First season so far, I have to say that. Tonight, UConn is ahead of Georgia State in the second quarter. Nope, in the third quarter, 20-13. And FAU's ahead of South Florida, 14-7 at halftime. That's a halftime score. And then the last game tonight, Boise State jumped all over San Diego State. They're up 28-3, and it's not Genty. They got 3 passing touchdowns and a pick 6 in this game. So far, it's not Genty. It's in the second quarter.
It's a different person tonight. It's the passing game.
Yeah.
There's John.
Yeah, they got 3 passing touchdowns and a pick 6. All right. So, John Roberts, you got me?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. All right. He's having some issues with his video and stuff the past few weeks. He can't get it figured out. So I guess I'm going
to have to send a check to Birmingham and get him a new laptop, I guess.
Man, I don't know what's going on.
Yeah. His computer is not recognizing his camera for some reason, and that's what the deal is. So, but he's been trying to work it out, but it's still not doing anything. So, all right. So we are going to get started with, I think, probably the biggest game of the weekend this week. I mean, it's the big noon kickoff. It's a top 5 matchup. Again, there's been several top 5 matchups. We got Ohio State at Penn State week. Like I said, starting noon time. Ohio State is a 3-point favorite in Happy Valley, John Hammonds. You don't see Penn State being an underdog at home very often.
No, you don't. My question for this is, can the Buckeyes, for me, can they prove that they're worthy of a top 5 against a quality team? You know, if they go on the road and beat an unbeaten Penn State team to climb back in the Big Ten title conversation, I think they can. I don't like this matchup for Penn State, really, because, you know, Ohio State, to me, has struggled at times against quality competition. You know, they had the Oregon loss. You know, they struggled against Nebraska. So I think this is the game that Ohio State puts their foot down and they take care of business. I will say, if Ohio State loses this game, there's a good chance that they might not even be in the Big Ten championship. That's how
100%.
I think that's how big this game is for Ohio State. But I'm going to go with Ohio State. I like this team. I think they're really good. I think they're legit. But I just need to see them kind of win a game against a top 5 opponent, and they're going to get their opportunity tomorrow. And I think they take care of business against Penn State.
You know, it's going to be a tough environment there in Happy Valley, John Roberts. You know, using DraftKings here, Ohio State is a 3-point favorite this evening.
Yep. So I'm really liking Penn State. I just kind of feel like the Penn State that they could get over this hump. But the problem is that they just haven't done it in recently, just winning that big game, winning that one that they had to have. And they just haven't done it. They lose to Ohio State and to Michigan over the last couple of years, but for whatever reason, they just can't win the big one against these teams. But maybe, and every year I keep thinking maybe they'll do it this year, and I really want them to. I just don't know if it's actually going to happen. That's what I'm trying to figure out.
Well, to add to your point, John, Penn State is probably going to face the most weapons that they've seen this year in you know, Smith, Ibuka, and if their pass rush, which I think one of their edge rushers is going to be out, I think that's going to hurt them as well. It will give, you know, Howard, he'll get time to find open receivers and carve up this defense. And I think, you know, Penn State I don't think they played a hard schedule, but they haven't really felt and played a team like Ohio State yet when it comes to offensive talent like they're going to play tomorrow.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, that's just one of those that's just a real difficult. I'm gonna go Penn State just for the sheer being opposite of what I think both of y'all are gonna end up doing. So I'm going Penn State, and I don't really have. I mean, outside of I feel like they should do it. I hope they do it, but it would cause chaos. Well, would it really cause chaos? I don't know.
Well, I mean, basically, you look at this. I mean, if Penn State wins this game, Ohio State's in trouble in the Big Ten. I mean, at the very least, they're in trouble in the Big Ten. I mean, more than likely, they will not get in the Big Ten championship game if they lose this, even if they beat Indiana and beat Michigan. Like, it's more than likely they won't. Now, will this knock them out of the college football playoff? Probably not if they go ahead and win out. Ohio State will probably still make the college football playoff. But here's the deal. Both of these teams have really not been good against ranked opponents. Both coaches.
That's
You
been
look at the coaches.
that's my
James
biggest
Franklin
worry. That's
and
been
Ryan
that's my biggest
and Ryan
worry tomorrow.
both.
So
Yeah, I mean, both of these coaches really haven't been good. Somebody's got to win. Now, I will say this. Ryan Day usually beats James Franklin. That's one of the ones he does win most of the time. I mean, the last 3 years or so, 4, something like that. So, with this being in Happy Valley, and Ohio State really hasn't looked good the last few weeks. I mean, they barely beat Nebraska last week and got kind of lucky doing that, to be honest with you. After Indiana scolded them 56-7, and this Ohio State team has so much talent and so many weapons. They really should go into Happy Valley and win this game, in my opinion. But I actually kind of think Penn State has been playing a little better of the two teams. So I'm kind of across. John Roberts said he thought I would pick Ohio State. I kind of lean that way. But then the eye test kind of says, wait a second, Penn State might get this done. I think I'm going to go Ohio State. So, I mean, but really, I think Penn State can kind of get this done. I mean, it's a tough
but
game.
See, here's the thing here's the thing that you got to look at with this game is every time Penn State gets into a big chance to do this with like last year, Michigan, Ohio State, it's like
they lay an egg most of the time.
Lay an egg every single time. And does that happen tomorrow? Who knows? But if you're going to do it, this is the year to do it.
Well, and this Ohio State team is loaded with talent, to be honest.
Yeah.
All right. The second game we're going to get to is Ole Miss traveling to Arkansas. Ole Miss is a 7-point favorite in Fayetteville, John Hammonds. So I know, I mean, Pittman's done a pretty good job at Arkansas this year. I don't think anybody can say that he hasn't. I feel like he's done a pretty good job down there this year. And Ole Miss has been up and down a little bit, and they have a lot of talent.
I do.
And already have 2 losses. So what do you think about this game? Ole Miss certainly can't afford another loss. That's for sure.
No, they can't. I think I'm going to go Ole Miss this game. There's been games like, the LSU game, Kentucky game, where they get lost in the moment and they forget where they're at. And that's happened twice this year. And to bring back to your point, Arkansas is much improved. They're a better team. But I think, Ole Miss has the number 4 passing offense in the country. The Arkansas's defense is not that great. They're 88th in the country. And the thing about it is the Rebels have a really stingy defense that ranks near the top in the FBS, including fewest points allowed. So I think Arkansas will run the ball some, more than they'll pass the ball. But I just don't see Arkansas getting much done against a really good defense. They're ranked number 1 in rush defense, Ole Miss. I think Arkansas is going to have some issues tomorrow. And I'm going to take Ole Miss in the 7 points, in which Jaquindon Jackson, the Arkansas who leads in rushing, he's not expected to play tomorrow. And I think that's going to be a big loss for Arkansas as well. So I think Ole Miss gets it done on the road tomorrow, and they cover the 7 points.
Okay. John Roberts, what do you think about this game?
So do you think Lane Kiffin gets fined tomorrow?
Good question.
Maybe.
So in case you don't know, or those that are out there that don't know, that Greg Sankey sent down rules or penalties for faking injuries, and it's toward the head coach and toward any of the other any coaches, assistants that were involved in it. And the first offense, I think, is $50,000. Second offense is $100,000, and third and any subsequent offense, I think, is a 1-game suspension. So I was just wondering, do you think that he gets fined tomorrow? Or
I would think that they curb it now that the rules have come out. That's what I would say, but we'll see.
Yeah, but I don't think you can truly. I mean, obviously, you look at the one. I mean, the one that we're all going to look at is that Ole Miss video where Jackson Dart turns to the running back and just says, like, points at him, and then he goes down.
That was the Kentucky game, so yeah.
And it's weird because it was on offense that he did that, as opposed to
right. Yeah.
As opposed to defense.
It was
usually
weird.
Usually it's on defense, and you're doing it to slow the other team down. So, but anyway, back to the game. Yeah, I think Ole Miss. Just because I really think that while Arkansas has been a tough out, I just think that Ole Miss will figure things out and win by at least a touchdown.
Okay. I mean, to be fair, Arkansas is 5-3 this year through 8 games. I think Pittman's done a pretty good job. However,
Yeah.
I do fully think that this Ole Miss team has a slew of talent all over the field. I mean, Trey Harris, Juice Wells. I mean, you can go on down the list on this team. Their defensive line,
Walter Nolan,
Prince, whatever his name is. I'm not even going to attempt to try to pronounce that. But anyways, whatever his name is, that transferred from Florida. I mean, they got Walter Nolan. I mean, like you go down the list, and this Ole Miss team cannot afford a loss here. I think they've got to go into Arkansas and take care of business. I'm going to pick the Ole Miss Rebels in this one as well and lay the 7 points. Now, John, this next one, the point spread kind of surprises me. Not that Miami's favorite. It's at home. It's Duke at Miami. And the point spread is 20.5 points about 4 o'clock this evening on DraftKings. Does that seem a little high to you?
a little bit. I mean, Duke's got a top 10 defense. They had an opportunity last week to upset SMU. They had the potential game-winning field goal blocked. at the end of the fourth
Really
quarter
close.
before they
Yeah.
lost in overtime. Nobody's really talking about the job that Manny Diaz is doing with this team. They got a top 10 defense.
Ex-coach here too, so you have that flavor here in this game as well.
Miami to me
Yeah.
is a much better team, but Duke has, like I said, a top 10 defense, and they got Manny. He calls the plays. I think they'll be at least capable of slowing down Miami a little bit, but I think Miami wins this. But I think Duke will hang around enough to cover the spread. I just think this is too high. I think it's too big of a spread, to be honest. Every week we have one of those games where the spread just looks out of sorts to me, and this is one of them. But I do think, give me Duke and the points. I think Duke hangs around at least the fourth quarter and makes this somewhat of a game.
I mean, Duke barely got beat last week. They have 2 losses. This is not a bad Duke team. Manny Diaz has done a really good job with them, John Roberts. And like I said, he was fired by Miami not too awful long ago. And, there's that to this game as well.
Yes. So the point spread, I do agree. I think it is a stinky fish on this thing. I think that Duke's been playing really good defense and should be able to keep the game inside of 3 touchdowns, which I think that's what ultimately is what we're going to be seeing. So I think that Manny Diaz has done well defensively. I don't think that this team's really much of a threat offensively, though. And
that's fair.
But Miami's just had some weird, stupid games and has figured out how to win them. And ultimately, I think they're going to win. I just think it's just going to be in the most stupid and unruly way.
Like Auburn, Kentucky last week.
That wasn't a stupid and an unruly way.
I'm talking right before halftime. That's what I'm talking about.
That was.
You have the field goal in your back pocket and you get sacked and you're out of position to even take a point into the half. Like, that was kind of stupid.
Yeah, well, they called timeout with.
Then they run
plenty
14
of time.
guys out on the field.
That's right. Ran 14 guys on the field. I mean,
come on.
There was a lot of stuff that was wrong with that. Yeah.
Oh goodness.
Yeah, but in the second half, in the second quarter, and then it went into the second half. Kentucky could not stop
Darqueze
Hunter. Well, Auburn decided for whatever reason, hey, we have this guy named Darqueze Hunter in the backfield, and maybe we ought to use him. Because that was something that they hadn't done, and they finally just unleashed him, and it was like, oh, look at that guy. Yeah. So,
you got, Brad?
I kind of agree with you on that.
What you got, Brad? You going to take Miami?
I don't think so. This point just seems too big for me. I can't, if this was 14.5, I'd probably take Miami. 20.5 just seems too big. I like this Duke team enough to say that they're going to keep this, within 3 touchdowns, basically. So that's where I'm at. I'm with you guys on the same thing there.
Oh, Jared.
So since we brought up Auburn, let's talk about Vandy at Auburn. Auburn is a 7.5-point favorite at home. Diego Pavia is coming back to the Plains.
Kyle Pavia. Is his name Pavia?
Pavia.
His name is Pavia.
Right, so John Hammonds.
I'll go first, and I'll let John finish. I'll
And
let John
Auburn's a
finish.
7.5-point favorite. I can't figure that one out either. This doesn't seem like a right spread here.
Here's the thing. You'd think if there was any team that would be paired for Vanderbilt's offense, it would be Auburn because, with Pavia, the whole Jerry Kill, this is a matchup of a team that never turns the ball over, which is Vanderbilt, and a team that does in Auburn. I think it's going to come down to who can stop the run the most. Auburn, to me, is a top 15 unit. If Auburn can avoid turnovers in this game, John Roberts, that's a big if. I think they're in position to win this game. Auburn's inconsistencies, though, have been really bad. Turning the ball over, stupidity, just dumb stuff before halftime. Here's what I would do. I would give the ball to Jarquez Hunter, and I'd say, you know what? Take this game over and win this football game. Because Vandy's not great against the run. But I'm going to take Vanderbilt in the points, but I think I'm going to take Auburn. This feels like an Auburn kind of game to me. And I think they're going to want revenge on Pavia, and I think Auburn gets it done in the Plains this weekend.
All right. John Roberts, what do you think here? I know that Freeze has said he's tired of Pavia this week. What do you think here in this game?
Well, of course he's tired of Pavia. I mean, he's 0-2 against him and Jerry Kill. I mean, so
yeah.
Wouldn't you be if somebody run over you ever back-to-back games?
I know. At home too, both times. So, look, this game
I'm going to
started
slap
out.
your daddy, by the way.
I know you are.
This game started out as a 5.5.
I'm just putting that up.
Oh no.
Started out as a 5.5 point
Oh goodness.
spread in favor of Auburn last week. It opened the week up as a 5.5 point spread. It has since gone up to 7.5. I'm not really sure why it's going up to 7.5.
7.5 seems a little big.
Right. I mean, yesterday it was at 7. Today it was 7.5. Earlier this week it was 5.5. So I don't know. Maybe Vanderbilt's got somebody that's not going to play. Maybe it's Diego Pavia. Who knows? But then again, Auburn's history with backup quarterbacks is also very bad. So anyway, so I think Auburn will win the game. I think Vandy keeps it inside the number. I think that it's more like a 3 or a 4 point victory for Auburn, not a 8, 9, 10 point victory. Anything to be above that's 7.5. The biggest key isn't, look, when you're looking at the turnover margin, yes, Auburn's got a -9 turnover margin or something like that, and Vanderbilt's got like a +3. Auburn has done all their turnovers in 2 games. They turned the ball over 10 times over the course of just 2 games. So the biggest differential is been those 2 games where they threw 5 interceptions in both of them. So I don't necessarily think that it's a turnover problem anymore because they've been pretty good outside of that. I mean, I don't think they've been – I don't know if they're in plus turnover range. I think they're still probably not minus, but it's not as bad, or they're even. It's not as bad as what the full statistic looks, because if you pull those 2 games out, you're fine. It's not just, every game they're throwing it, or fumbling it, where they're in the minus category, like -3 or something like that. That's not the case. So the real key is time of
Okay.
possession. The real key is time of possession. And, with the fact that Auburn can run the ball and Vanderbilt has a tough time stopping it, I think that's the key. And if Auburn is able to establish that run, I think that's where it goes. Plus, they have to contain Pavia. They cannot let him get outside and wreak havoc out there.
I mean, here's my thing on this game. I mean, and I would have never dreamed that I would say some of this, but we're talking about a Vanderbilt who beat Alabama, and just last week only lost at Texas 27-24. I mean, what I'm not getting here is, has the rest of the world been asleep? I mean, I'm just not sure. Are you telling me that Vegas thinks that Auburn could beat Texas? Is that what you're telling me here? Because I just don't understand it.
You're looking at it like transitive properties here. It does not translate that way. Auburn would not be able to beat Texas, but Auburn could beat could beat Vanderbilt. But the thing is, too, and you could say this with Hugh Freeze. You could go against it with Hugh Freeze because he's seen Pavia and he's seen Jerry killed 2 other times and has still lost to him. But Auburn lost to this team last year. They lost to him last year. And we're not talking about Vanderbilt. We're talking about Pavia and Jerry Kill. All right?
Right. Yes, I know.
They understand what they're about to walk into. It's not just video that they've watched. It is they know what they're about to go.
This Vanderbilt team has been different. This Vanderbilt team has been way better. And I would have
Vanderbilt team still lost to Georgia State.
Yeah, but they also beat Alabama.
And
they still lost to Georgia State. Remember that. They lost.
And in Texas was 27-24. They nearly had a shot to beat Longhorns.
If we're going to do that, Alabama beat Georgia, and Alabama
1 week later
lost to Vanderbilt.
I'm just telling you guys.
You can go back and forth.
If you're telling me that I can get Vanderbilt and 7.5 points, that's a no-brainer for me right now. I mean, I just don't see how in the world that could possibly be. I just don't see it. So I'm taking Vandy and the 7.5 points. All right, the next one we're going to go to is Indiana at Michigan State. Indiana is still undefeated. They're 8-0 and not even in the top 10. They're still 13th in the country.
I'm going to tell you something, Brad. This has trap game written all over it. And I say that because Indiana has to go back-to-back with Michigan and Ohio State.
That's John Hammond's thinking. No.
Well, I'm just telling you. I mean, here's the thing about Michigan State, though. They turn the ball over way too frequently, I think, to pull this off. But I think they have enough talent to keep this game tight. And I think, Indiana's going to kind of tighten up the screws and win late in the game. I think they're going to be up for this with Michigan State, after losing the game against Michigan, and a game they could have won on the road. They had a lot of chances to win the game in the big house and didn't. And, this is not a bad Michigan State team. I mean, they're not great, but they're not bad either. But give me Indiana.
Both first-year head coaches.
Yeah. Give me Indiana in the 8 points. I think they cover the spread. But I think, Michigan State keeps it tight in the fourth quarter. But I think Indiana pulls it out in the end.
All right. John Roberts, Indiana at Michigan State, -8 for Indiana.
I'm hammering Indiana. Go Hoosiers. Signetti won't let this one be close. It will be.
Yeah.
I get that, but there's always that one game that you've done what you've done to this point, but there's that one game where you have like a little mishap and you get in the middle.
I don't think it's this week.
I don't think it's probably not going to be, but
it'll be Ohio State.
Quarter of a tight game, and you start getting tight.
It'll be Ohio
State. That's the one I think.
It'll be Ohio State. Yep. Ohio State will run them out of the building. I think this one.
That's the one I think that they will. They'll be a little timid coming into it and everything because it's Ohio State and that's the one I think this week. I'm taking Indiana. I think they're going to go in to East Lansing and handle them pretty well. I just don't see the Spartans hanging with this offense. I'm not saying it's going to be 56-7, but it probably won't be real pretty, to be honest. I think Indiana wins this going away. The next one, the cocktail party. Hammonds, we got Florida versus Georgia. This game is in Jacksonville, neutral site every year. Georgia is a 14.5-point favorite in this game.
Now listen,
I'll make it easy. Florida covers. Georgia wins.
Listen, I know the Gators have not been that great all year, but they're better than people think. They're greatly improved on defense, but I just can't see Florida pulling the upset here. I mean, there's too many things working against them.
Jonathan, the last 4 years, who did they have on the outside?
I get that, John, but
no, I'm talking to our commenter. I'm talking to our commenter.
Oh, sorry.
Who said Georgia has beaten Florida 20 plus over the last 4 years. Yeah, they had Brock Bowers, and they had a slew of other wide receivers, Ladd McConkey and some other guys. Those guys aren't there, and they don't have anybody close to that.
Well, here's the thing, too. I know that, the last 4 games have been 20 plus, but it's still a rivalry game. And teams get up for rivalry games. Like in these rivalry games, you can throw records out the window when it comes to this. But I don't think this rivalry game is going to be really close, to be honest. I do think Florida hangs in there for maybe the first quarter. But to me, until they show something offensively, they're just going to have a hard time scoring against a really good Georgia front four because Georgia, I don't know. Georgia kind of exposed Texas a little bit in Austin.
Georgia is getting healthy on the front four defense. Early in the season,
also
they weren't. They had 5 guys out.
They did. And I think they're hitting that stride. And I think Florida just don't have enough talent to hang in for 4 quarters. So I'm laying the points as there'll be more Billy Napier fire chants kick-started again this week, as it will be the rest of the year. So,
I mean, listen, I'm going to be honest with you guys. I think Napier's done better this year than I thought he was going to.
He has. I
mean, at this point, Napier's done better than what I was expecting with their schedule and everything. I'm not going to sit here and talk bad about the job Napier's done. He's actually done better than what I thought he would do. However, Georgia's getting healthy at the right time here. Like John Roberts said, offensive line. I talked about the defensive line. I mean, they are coming together. I think they are on a mission after that Bama loss. I still believe that, in their minds, they're the best team in the SEC. And I think they're going to come out here. I think 14.5 is too low. I'm not saying it's going to be a 35-point win or nothing like that.
It's in Jacksonville.
But I think Georgia covers. Yeah, it's in Jacksonville. It is every year.
Except for the next 2 years after.
Yeah, it's being moved.
Yeah, they're doing renovations on the stadium, I think.
Oh, is it?
What it is?
Yeah, they're moving it, I think, to the Georgia Dome, I think, John, one of them.
So it's going to be played in Tampa 1 year and at the Mercedes
Benz. Yeah.
So it'll be at
so
it'll be in Tampa. Yeah, so it'll be in Tampa where the Buccaneers play at Raymond James or whatever they call it now. And it will be a Mercedes-Benz stadium. I believe that's because they are doing renovations to the stadium.
What's that coming down the track? It's the mean.
No.
And the red and black.
Golly.
Go dog. Go dog.
You definitely are not Pat McAfee. That's all I got to say.
And even he screwed that up too.
Oh goodness.
He screwed it up when he did it too.
Mean Machine and the red and black.
All right. Oregon at Michigan. Considering Oregon is the number one team in the country is the reason why I put this on here. Michigan, at least the third time this season at home, is an underdog. That's got to be a record or something. The third time being an underdog at home. I mean, especially for a defending champion. I mean, Oregon is 14.5-point favorite here in the big house.
What's Michigan's record?
They've lost 3, I'm pretty sure.
I'm just going to go ahead and say it. Oregon is playing at a level right now that just they're on a mission. Maybe Michigan defense steps up and keeps Michigan in this one, but Michigan has shown little.
Michigan's 5-3, John.
Yeah, I just saw it.
Michigan has shown me little this season to make me think that they can keep up with Oregon. Like you gotta score points, and they're just not doing that. Their quarterback play has been inconsistent. Now, I will say their defense has kept them in games pretty much all year. But I just have a hard time seeing a scenario in which this game is even close. Give me Oregon 15.5 points. I think they cover it, or the 14. I just don't see a way that Michigan has any way of winning this football game, unless Oregon just really comes out and they don't have a great offensive showing, and Michigan just comes around and throws the ball around and just does things that we've never seen before.
I mean,
the only way that Michigan keeps it close or wins the game is if they have pick sixes or they have turnovers that create insanely short
and Will
fields.
Johnson could.
Yeah, I mean, it could happen.
I mean, he could.
But will it happen? That's the question.
Yeah. Correct.
Yeah. I'm not saying it will. I'm just saying he has that kind of talent to do that. They do have a good defense. Michigan does. It's the offense that sucks.
You got to think, Brad. Michigan probably has 4 players who are probably going to be in the first and second rounds picked in this coming draft. They're loaded on the defensive side of the ball. but that's not going to be
On the
enough.
defensive side of the ball. Yeah.
But that's not going to be enough for them to win this game. And on the other side of it, I wouldn't be shocked if this was a low-scoring game too, because Oregon had that. What was it? That game early in the year, was it Oregon State or was it?
No, they blew Oregon State out of the
No,
water.
it wasn't Oregon State. There was a game where Oregon didn't put a team. Was it Eastern Washington? Maybe
Boise, probably. Boise.
It might have been Boise.
Boise, they let
was
Boise hang around.
They let
the
them
whole
hang
game.
around, and I don't know. I just don't think they can. The way Oregon's playing right now, I just don't think Michigan has any opportunity to win tomorrow. That's just me.
Okay. John Roberts, what do you think on this one?
Oregon all day. They're gonna cover. I just think they're going to. So
I mean, Dan Lanning and Will Stein has really kind of been clicking with this offense lately, I think. With Dylan Gabriel. So, I mean, and Michigan, I just don't see that they are going to muster up more than 2 touchdowns against this Oregon team. I just don't. I mean, if they do, it will surprise me. Unless you guys said like they get a pick six or something like that, then they might. But offensively, I just don't see that. I think Oregon covers this in the Big House, which is very surprising, to be honest.
By the way, Boise State didn't win that
for them
game.
to get beat like that.
Oregon beat
they
Boise.
lost by 3, but they stayed in it. I know they lost by 3, but they did stay in the game, and Oregon was behind.
Murphy said Boise. He said Boise State won by 3. They didn't win by 3.
no, yeah, you're right because
Oregon won.
since
No,
Oregon's
undefeated.
undefeated.
Yeah, they didn't win by 3.
Yes,
Undefeated.
Oregon won. So
yes. All right, Texas Tech at Iowa State. Iowa State is a 13.5-point favorite at home. Don Hammonds, what do you think about this one? I see what you're all talking about. It was Oregon that won by 3.
Texas Tech has some questions at quarterback. Morton got hurt last week. I think that's a tough situation to be in on the road. I don't think they're going to be able to stop Iowa State. Texas Tech have the 123rd.
That sounds so weird.
Defense in the FBS.
I'm sorry.
This is just a bad spot, I think,
for
Texas Tech. We're going to see some
Iowa
points.
State playing games and having 9 points.
I think Texas Tech covers this game, but I think Iowa State wins this game. Probably 42-27, 44-27, something in that range. Iowa State's playing really good football right now, but I don't know, man. Iowa State is just like 1 week they look really good, and the next week, there's certain games where they just, I don't know, they have to fight to win. And I don't think they're really going to be tested until the Big 12 championship when they have to face BYU. I think Iowa State is in pretty good shape at this point. And if they get to the playoffs, Matt Campbell deserves some Coach of the Year honors.
And he should probably take this chance to leave.
This is probably Iowa State's best team they've had in probably a long, long time. Because,
all right, John Roberts.
The reason I say that, Brad, is they should have lost to UCF a couple of weeks ago. And, I don't know. But I'm going Iowa State in this game.
I'm going Iowa State takes care of business. The only reason is that not only is it at home, but yes, Texas Tech is without their quarterback. So
Yeah,
if that quarterback were playing, then I would go with shootout maybe. But
not a great position to be in if your quarterback's in.
Yeah, first first start or having a start on the road and rather than starting at home. I think if it were out in Lubbock, I think that we could say shootout and that it would just stay close the whole time. It would be a high scoring, but Texas Tech would be able to keep it inside the number, and then at that point you wouldn't really matter. But I think with it being on the road and being without the starting quarterback, I think that is where it ends up putting it over the top for Iowa State.
Ames, Iowa. That's where this one is. Ames, Iowa.
Yes, Ames, Iowa. In the middle of nowhere. Yes. Middle of nowhere, just like Lubbock. Lubbock's in the middle of nowhere too. So
okay, yeah.
Let's just.
Ames, Iowa. I mean, good luck. Without Google, good luck finding it.
Good luck.
It's within the borders of Iowa.
So, I'm just so used of Iowa State like playing great defense and games being 14-12 and 14-9. And like this season has just been crazy. I agree with you guys. I think Iowa State's going to cover this. I think they're going to beat them at home, especially with the quarterback out. I just don't see Texas Tech being able to stay in this game for very long.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just so weird for me to see Iowa State scoring points. And I don't know. It's just a weird deal, if you ask me. But I think they're going to win and cover. So give me Iowa State in this one. The next one, I'll have you guys know, I have like several ACC games on here this week. And usually I'm looking at ACC games and like, which one am I going to pick? Because I think this is maybe one of the best weeks in the ACC this entire year as far as games. We got Louisville at Clemson, 10.5-point favorite for Clemson here. Does Louisville have any chance in this game or a chance to cover that spread, John Hammonds?
No. Clemson, I'm just saying no. They've been shaky. Louisville has, they're 2-3 in their last 5. Everybody says, well, it was a bad home loss against SMU. Well, look what SMU's doing. SMU's a pretty good football team. Red actually has them playing really well right now. I don't think that's a bad loss, but to each their own. But here's the thing about Clemson. They lost to Georgia. They rebounded. They've won 6 consecutive games. They're playing really good defense. They're winning by huge margins. All of their 6 wins have been by at least 16 points. They're hitting their stride. If there's one team in the ACC that could get to the college football playoff, it's Clemson. Maybe Pittsburgh. But other than them, maybe SMU. They slide in
outside there. Of Miami?
Well, Miami. I forgot about Miami. Miami and Clemson are probably the best bets if you're.
Yeah, Miami's defeated.
I know. I forgot about Miami being. But between them and Clemson, I think those are the 2 best bets for this ACC. And I think Clemson's just playing at a really good level right now. And I just think going into Death Valley is a death sentence for this Louisville team.
Nightmare?
A nightmare, yeah. With the way Louisville has played as of late. So give me Clemson in the 10.5.
Okay.
You're just looking at this game with your
John Robert?
with your bright blue,
No, I'm not.
Sleepy cat
I'm
glasses,
really
aren't
not,
you?
John. Like Louisville has not impressed me. Yeah, they've won some games early in the year. You know, they've competed. They competed with Notre Dame, but going into Death Valley is a different animal. Um, I don't care how good they are, how bad they are. Playing at Clemson is a hard place to play, and this is going to be tough for Louisville to even muster an opportunity to win this game.
Oh yeah, I agree. I mean, I think Clemson's going to run away with it. So
I
it's
mean,
going
I
to be
don't.
a
I
beat
mean, I
down.
think
It's going to be a
maybe
beat down in C-Town.
I maybe think it'd be close early, but I just think Clemson pulls away in this game and wins.
Yep. No, I think it's a beat down. I think
Listen, I
Clemson
think
just runs away
Clemson
with
by
it.
far is the better team here.
Clemson
I
by
mean,
40.
let's look at the season, the eye test. I think they're the better team here. I'm taking Clemson. If it was 20, I might take Clemson, but I'm definitely taking them for 10.5. I can tell you that, and laying the 10.5 here. So our next game, I think this one's kind of intriguing in the SEC this weekend. Kind of a below the radar game that I think should be right up there with some of the best in the SEC this week. You got Texas A&M going to Columbia, South Carolina to play the Gamecocks, and A&M is a 3.5-point favorite. Maybe they've never heard of the Sandstorm. I don't know. John Roberts or John Hammonds? I mean, what do you think on this game?
You know, this game kind of is, like you said, an underrated game. You know, South Carolina almost beat LSU. They almost beat Alabama. And they've had an extra week to prepare for this game. You know, they're on a bye. It was on a bye week last week. With that said, A&M is coming off win over LSU. The only loss they've had is Notre Dame, a Notre Dame team that
First
some
game
of
of
us
the year.
don't think is that great, and they've only lost to Notre Dame. While I think this game will be close because I like the South Carolina front four. I like Kennard. I like Dylan Stewart. The last time South Carolina really faced a team that run the football, it lost to Ole Miss, 27-3. And I really like this Marcel Reed. He came in and absolutely done some damage to LSU. I think he's the better quarterback in this game. I'm going to bet on A&M this weekend and to win and cover this game. But like you said, this is going to be a tough environment for A&M. If A&M wins this game, we could be looking at a Texas A&M spot for possibly a college football playoff or even better, an SEC championship title appearance. Like A&M has surpassed everything that I thought they would be this year. And shout out Mike Elko. He's had an unbelievable season down in Aggie Land.
All right, John Roberts, what do you think about this game? I think it's underrated.
Well, first, are you guys happy or disappointed that it's Mike Elko leading the Texas A&M?
Oh, I knew this was coming.
I don't.
I
To be honest with
knew
you,
this
at
was
the time,
coming. I knew this was coming.
it didn't really matter to me, to be honest with you. Like, I think we would have been okay. And I also think that Stoops could get his, what together and be okay. So, I mean, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think A&M would be where they are if Stoops was there.
Yes, I believe you're correct there. Who also was calling that it was going to be Elko? It was me. It was me. When we were talking about all our things, I said
Okay.
Elko's the guy.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
So with that being said, I think
I'll be honest with you though. I'm pretty shocked at what has happened. Like I knew Elko would go there and do good. Like I never thought 8 games in first season that he would be setting 8-0 and have a chance to win the SEC.
not
Like
quite
I
8.
would have
No.
never thought. I mean, honestly. Well, whatever. They're undefeated. No, they
They're
lost to
undefeated in
Notre
the
Dame.
SEC.
They're undefeated in
I
the
know
SEC
this.
play.
Yes.
Yeah.
They're undefeated in the SEC. That's what I was thinking about. Was the SEC? They're the only team undefeated in the SEC.
Are they? You're right. They are.
Yes,
I know. I'm just
they are the only team undefeated in the SEC.
within the SEC.
That I'm right about. I just misspoke. I was thinking about the SEC record.
Yeah. 7-1 overall and whatever and 0 in the
Right.
SEC. Yeah. So I think Texas A&M wins this as much as I want South Carolina to do it. I want South Carolina to play Beamer ball. I want the defense to wreak havoc. I want the defensive line to get all over Reed. I do, but I just don't think it's going to happen. And I think that A&M is able to hold off, win this game. It's what you said. It's a 3.5 point. So, all they got to do is just win by 4. So, as long as it's not a field goal at the end of the game to win it, it's I think A&M. I think A&M wins and probably wins, by 7-ish, maybe even more than that. But yeah,
I mean, I hear you guys, and A&M has played a great ball, and Elko's done way beyond what I thought they would be at this point in the season. But here's my deal. Sometimes things happen in these games that's kind of unexplained. And
yes.
if you go back and look at Shane Beamer at South Carolina, there's always a game or two every year that's kind of like somehow at home he pulls out a win and they play way beyond what they should.
Tennessee 2002.
And pull out a game or a win.
Tennessee 2002.
Clemson. I mean, yeah. I mean, there's always a game or so. I think this is the game that everybody's going to be like, I'm not sure what happened. I don't know how they done this. I think South Carolina is going to win this one at home. So I'm going to take South Carolina in the 3.5 points in this one. Kind of unexplained, but all right. This is the game that I did not want to do, to be quite honest with you.
But we have
been on strike all week.
We cover it.
I've been on
Kentucky football.
Hang on. I've been on strike all week long, to be quite honest with you.
Now, why is that? Why were you on strike?
On the picket line.
Why were you on strike?
I'm standing on the picket line right now, just so you guys know.
What put you over? What put you over to cause you to go on strike? What was it that happened?
It's called losing home games. That's what it's called.
Losing home games. And who did you lose a home game to? Hey, you guys were picking on me. I'm going to continue.
Well, we all know we lost to Auburn last week, but I'm not talking about just that game. I'm talking about the entire season. But anyway, Kentucky, who I think still has a football team, about half the roster is on the injury report list, I'm pretty sure. But anyway,
why is that?
Who I think still has a football team is playing at Tennessee. At Tennessee is a 17.5 point favorite, according to DraftKing.
Listen, Brad Harvey, I'm going to give my honest opinion about this game, and I'm just going to say what we need to
I'm on
say, and
strike.
we're gonna be young.
I'm holding my picket sign
Oh my goodness,
back and
man.
forth.
Here's what I say. This is the type of game that Kentucky usually crushes under Stoops. You know, keeping the store close, gutsy, cover spread. Unfortunately, the mentality is not there. This team is lost. There's feels like there's no energy. There's no enthusiasm, even down to the coaches. And Kentucky doesn't have a Dylan Sampson either. Here's my thing about this. I'm afraid that what Jarquez Hunt did last week, Dylan Sampson might do a little bit more this week. Bet on the Vols to win, cover. Now, I will say this, Brad. Kentucky has a decent defense, all right? Tennessee has not really looked like Tennessee offense all year. Now, they did kind of open it up against Alabama 2 weeks ago. But is that really Tennessee offense? Have we really seen what they can do? It's untelling with this game. And I know people think, well, Tennessee's going to blow them out. They might do that. But like I say, it's a rivalry game. You don't know where Kentucky's head is at in this game. Do they have any juice left to show some effort and just come out and punch somebody in the mouth? And I just don't think they do. And that's why I think Tennessee wins this game by the 17.5 points. I just don't. And the more they lose, the more loud it's going to get. And they go into their bye week with a lot of problems and a lot of questions. On to the next one. Go ahead, John Roberts.
So I'm really conflicted just because I don't know with Tennessee's offense, would they be able to put up the amount? And I think if it were played at Kentucky, I think I would be inside the line. I'd still say Tennessee wins, but I would say that Kentucky covers. With it being played in Neyland instead, and it being just a massive home crowd, the biggest issue for Tennessee right now is that Nico has not really been very consistent. And if Kentucky can get some turnovers, they can maybe stay inside that number. I'm not really saying keep it close. I'm just saying stay inside that number. Because, I mean, you're going full on 3 touchdown to really say that it's, that Tennessee would win by 3 touchdowns.
But have you watched us play? I mean,
I did. I watched last week. I watched Jarquez Hunter just run right down your throat.
I don't know how. I honestly don't know how you watched it.
I was like this.
Because it was awful.
Okay. All right. Yep. Keep going. So, I think if Tennessee's game plan is line it up and run the ball, I think they can do a pretty good amount of damage. But if they do try to do anything that's beyond line it up and run it, it'll be trouble, or it'll be just a long game for Tennessee. And so, do I really want to do it? Yeah, sure. We'll just do Tennessee. I mean, but I don't feel good about it. I still think that Kentucky keeps it inside of 17.5.
Brad, he's
okay.
He's just sitting there like
he's frozen bread.
Y'all have no idea. No idea I almost can't say it. Y'all have no idea. There is nothing, and I mean nothing, that I hate worse than this game right here. Nothing. Not basketball, not nothing. There is nothing that burns my soul like this game right here. Nothing. So I'm going to tell you guys right now, all this talk about Tennessee's offense and Nico struggled and all this other crap this year, you can throw all that out the damn window, because I'm going to tell you guys one thing I know after 50 years of watching this damn game. There is nothing that gets Tennessee more fired up than Kentucky Blue on a football field. They can go out and play Florida and play like crap and get their asses beat 18 out of 20 times. They can go to Alabama and get their asses beat 16 out of 17 times. But there is nothing that gets them more fired up than Kentucky Blue. They play like nearly the best game of the year every single year against Kentucky Blue. And as bad as I hate to say it, it burns my soul.
Say what, Brad?
Burns my soul to the
Say
bone.
Say it.
Say it, Brad.
Say it, Brad. Do it.
Say it, Brad.
If I'm betting, you better put your money on Tennessee, because it's not going to be Kentucky.
Say it louder. Say it clear.
Rocky Top.
Absolutely not.
Sweet home to me.
Good old Rocky Top.
Oh goodness. We're getting Brad kind of.
I would hang the Kentucky guy that wrote that song, to be honest, because most people don't know that stupid ass was from Kentucky.
Oh.
And I would hang that dude if he was still around. I really would. I'm not even playing. All right. I'm gonna move on from that game because y'all don't know. I'm telling you. You just don't know. All right. Another ACC game. We're going to wrap up with this game. I like this game. I think this is one of the better ACC games. I know we've had Clemson and Louisville and Miami and Duke and a couple of other ACC games this week, but I'm going to wrap it up with Pittsburgh at SMU. Pittsburgh is still an undefeated team, and I don't think a whole lot of fans still think that about this Pittsburgh team. And SMU has one loss. The winner here has a real shot of having a chance, depending on what happens between Miami and Clemson, of making the ACC championship game here. So SMU's favored by 7.
I'm going
John
to go
Hammonds,
chaos.
what do you think?
I'm going to go chaos. And this ain't the same chaos as what John would say. These defenses are probably the best in the nation at getting interceptions. They average a pick a game, over a pick a game. I think this is going to be a shootout. I honestly do. Pittsburgh's got
Hold up.
Holstein.
Time out. Jared Murphy, hang on. Time out. Jared Murphy, I used to like you. Just say it.
Holstein has the offensive firepower to keep up. He's a 6'4" dual threat quarterback, and he's not even lost his first college football game yet. and I don't think he will this weekend either. I'm going Pitt. They're underrated. Now, they haven't beat any ranked teams yet, but they've won 2 games as underdogs. They beat Cincinnati on the road, and they won by 10 at North Carolina. And if you can do that, you can go into SMU and take care of business. So give me Pittsburgh, and I guess you would say they upset SMU this weekend. I think the road kind of ends here for SMU, but I could be wrong. So.
All right, John Roberts.
Oh, this is going to be a little difficult because I love both. I love both teams. I love Pitt, and I love Rhett Lashley and SMU. SMU, what recently was it last week or the week before, where they had 5 or 6 turnovers and still won the game? Wasn't was that last week or the week before?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was that? Well, last week was the Duke game that they barely survived at Duke.
I think that was it. I think that's what it was. I think they turned the ball over 6 times to Duke.
Yeah.
And then they still beat Duke.
Yeah.
Auburn's tried doing that twice. Give the ball to the other team 5-6 times and seeing if they can win it. They were unsuccessful. They lost.
It's kind of hard to do.
It is. It's very hard to do. And SMU somehow did it. I don't know how they did it.
Yeah, it's kind of hard.
But yeah, I mean, John's right. They like to give the ball away. Pitt likes to give the ball away sometimes. So, I mean, I think that would be kind of funny just to watch them. You've heard of the pick 6. I just kind of wonder if we might get 6 picks in this game. 3-3 or whatever. But
okay.
Give me SMU to give Pitt their first loss. There you go. That's it. SMU to give them the loss.
I think that's what I'm going to do. I think I'm going to ride with the Mustangs here, and Rhett Lashley, especially at home. I really love the job that he has done with this offense. Hint, Kentucky, by the way, if something happens. I really love the way Rhett Lashley runs this team, runs this offense going into the ACC here, the job that he's done. I do think the winner of this has a legitimate shot of going to the ACC championship game, depending on what happens between Miami and Clemson down the stretch. And I'm going to go with SMU at home. If this was the other way around, this was at Pitt, I might take them, but I'm going to go with the Mustangs. Pony Express, baby. All right, I want to ask you guys, we're going to end the show on this. I want to ask you guys about the college football rankings coming out this week. After this weekend, for the very first time on Tuesday, the first college football playoff rankings will come out, and we will get a real look, because they're not really supposed to go off of rankings and where teams are ranked and things of that nature. John, I wanted to ask you about 2 teams specifically. You look at Miami's resume and you look at Indiana's resume.
Mm-hmm.
Miami has been ranked higher all year long, and Indiana has been ranked lower and having to come up. But if you look at their resumes, aren't they pretty similar? Could Indiana be on the same level with Miami in the first college football playoff ranking?
Yeah. I mean, because really the only game that might because they played Florida State, which is not great. They didn't beat a good California team. They beat South Florida, beat Ball State. They beat Florida on the road. They beat Florida A&M. They beat Virginia Tech on a Hail Mary pass. They barely beat Louisville.
That's what I'm saying. Their
which
resume is really not that strong.
Which Louisville really should have won that game in some regard. And then you go over to Indiana's schedule. They beat Nebraska, beat Washington. They beat Northwestern, beat Maryland, beat UCLA, beat Charlotte, Western Illinois, and Florida International. It's about the same.
Yeah, I mean, because Maryland beat USC.
I mean, if you're looking at it from that regard, I mean, I'll be honest with you.
Come on, be honest.
I would probably have Notre Dame on the outside. No, I don't know. They did beat Texas A&M, but I think that's their only big win. I mean, the reason I would have Indiana over Notre Dame is Indiana doesn't have a bad loss like Notre Dame does. They have a loss at Northern Illinois, and
Right.
I think
And that bad loss is going to hurt them, but it also hurts Texas A&M right now as well, because Notre Dame should be ahead of Texas A&M because they both have one loss, and Notre Dame beat A&M, but Notre Dame has that NIU.
If I had to put my top 12 right now, it would be Oregon, Georgia, Penn State, Ohio State, Miami, Texas, Tennessee, BYU, Texas A&M, Clemson, and Iowa State. And then Indiana and Notre Dame would fight for that last spot. But that's not even counting Boise State that's in there. And listen, I know people are going to say, well, they lost to Vanderbilt. But Alabama is still alive in this thing. I mean,
but there's a lot of teams in front of them right now.
There is. I agree. But if you look at the AP
poll,
which I know they're not going to go.
Pittsburgh and SMU should be in front of, to be honest with you.
I'm not disagreeing.
I'm not talking about the polls. I'm talking about in the college football playoff rankings.
But when I mean,
Pittsburgh and SMU
if you
should
go by
truly
the polls,
be in front of them.
If you go by the polls, though, Alabama's in front of a lot of those teams.
I'm not going by the polls. These rankings are not supposed to go by the polls. They're supposed to go by how the season has gone and comparing resumes and everything else.
But I'm not disagreeing with you, but sometimes they do go by the polls.
I think we're going to see with the 12-team playoff here, I think we're going to see some things that's a little different than what we've seen before. John Roberts, what do you think about when you look at Indiana and Miami and resumes and leading up to this college football playoff rankings? Do you think Miami's going to be 7-8 spots above them? Or do you think they're going to be more close in line?
Well, I really hope that they'd be more close in line, but I think that Miami will ultimately be above them by quite a few spots. I mean, honestly, when I see Indiana, I sit there and I think home field apparel. Okay, I really do. I think about home field apparel, and I think about just all the comfortable T-shirts and hats and socks and joggers and everything, jackets that they have. And I think that's what I think about when I see Indiana football as home field apparel and how awesome it is.
Here's another thing. I was reading something tonight about, like, I was going over some of the computer rankings. You know who the computer still likes Ole Miss, even after losing to Kentucky and LSU.
That's because they could make it up with Georgia.
They can if they beat Georgia at home.
But here's the deal. Look,
That's a big if.
are you gonna
That's a big if.
be watching the CFP rankings on Tuesday night, or are you gonna be watching the election? Because the first CFP rankings come out Tuesday, election night.
I got another question for
You're
you.
right. It is election night, but I'm gonna be honest with you.
And then
I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm probably watching the football rankings.
And then the
just
national
being honest.
championship game is on what day? The inauguration. So we will have the first CFP
Odd. Okay.
CFP rankings coming
Hey, I got
out
something else
on the
for
day
you.
of the election, and then the national championship game on the
How about this,
inauguration.
John and Brad? Are you going to be watching the election? Are you going to be watching the college football playoffs? Or are you going to be watching college basketball? Because college basketball begins this week. Monday, Tuesday, all the way
Monday
through.
night, I'm definitely watching college basketball. Actually,
Monday night.
I'm
Yeah.
going to a game on Monday night. Actually, the Kentucky Women's Open. I will be at the game, covering the game, and I will be in Lexington. I'm probably going to stay up there and watch it close by. The men's game at the end. A Monday night, 100% for sure. I'm watching some college basketball. So
This is the biggest election since
The last
the
one.
Bush era.
Nah. They say that every year, every time. It's the same crap all the time. I don't care. I'm not watching it. College basketball, college football,
Wrong.
college
SportsCast trumps anything to do with this stupid election.
Trump. Did I hear you say Trump?
He did. He did.
Did I hear you say Trump? Oh,
he said Donald.
Yeah.
Right
I
there.
had to get him.
He said Donald Duck.
No. I did not say that word. I promise you.
Oh, goodness.
I didn't say that word. I promise. I did say Trumps.
Oh, yeah,
With
you
an
said
S.
Trump. You did say that.
Trumps
Oh,
with an
goodness.
S.
I have to get you, Brad. I had to thank you, man.
All right, fools.
Oh, goodness.
We're getting off here. I'm assuming that Coleman Scott is going to want to do a post game tomorrow night. He may not want me to be around. I'm not sure. So
well,
at the end of the Kentucky
Brad, are you
and
going to go on
Tennessee
one
game
of
tomorrow night,
Are you going to go on another tirade tomorrow night?
He is. Yes. The answer is yes.
y'all don't
Unequivocally.
know how deep that game goes for me, and just how much real hatred is there. You just don't know. I'm telling you, it's hard for me not to show some of that.
I will say
I'm
this,
assuming
Brad.
that we are going to be doing a post game tomorrow night. I'm also assuming that it won't be pretty.
No, exactly. But I will say this real quick before we get off. Basketball season is getting ready to start up, college basketball, and this is probably my most fun time of the year because you get that mixture of college football into with basketball. November is ready to rock and roll. I love November basketball because Jared had the phone lines ready. But I love basketball season in November, and I tell you why. Because the Maui, all the invitational tournaments when they hit around Thanksgiving, there's no better week than Feast Week. You can ask Brad. Feast Week might be one of the best weeks in college basketball. Between the Maui, the battle for Atlantis, and believe it or not, there's actually a lot of great games this year. Auburn plays Iowa State. John. That's going to be a
Who?
unbelievable matchup.
Yeah.
I'm excited about that game, to be honest.
Who?
Your mother.
Ugh.
Oh, me.
Now, here's something.
All right,
very,
guys. We've been on
something.
for a long time.
Go ahead, John. Say it real quick.
I was just gonna say there was something interesting that happened this week. Something that has never happened before, and that is that, and it happened in professional sports. But here's what happened: Monday, all four professional sports were playing. So you had baseball, basketball, hockey, and football. Right? New York became the first major metropolitan area to have all four teams lose on the same day. So the New York Giants lost in Monday Night Football. The Yankees lost in the World Series.
Good job, New York.
I think it was the Rangers and the
Best-
Knicks. I don't know which New
The
York team,
Dodgers.
but
The
the
Dodgers are
but
the
the
best
Rangers,
team money can buy. By the way,
the Rangers and the Knicks also took L's on Monday night, and therefore all four of New York's team. Now, I mean, look, New York has two of everything, but obviously,
I know we've kind of got off track here, but we will have the phone
Okay,
lines
Hammonds.
ready.
I got to address this whole Dodgers. Hang on. I got to address this whole Dodgers and the money and buying stuff. I got to address this crap. Because
why?
I'm sick and tired of hearing it when it's not even close to being true compared to some of these other teams. The Dodgers have about the sixth highest payroll in
Yeah,
baseball.
because you're not
Look
counting
up the
Shohei.
first two: the New
you're
York
not-
Mets
You're not
and the New
counting.
York Yankees.
You're not counting Shohei's contract because he's deferred it. Count Shohei's contract, and you're number one
Oh,
by a long shot. But yes, those other two teams
I don't
paid
make
a
the
lot of
rules.
money and they suck. Yes, I get it. But
don't make the rules.
but but
The
when you add
Mets
when you
have
add,
over 310, 12, 15 million that they're
they're still
spending.
paying Bobby Bonilla. So what?
Yeah, well, Bob Bonilla's been
Good grief.
he's been being paid since the Bush administration. I mean,
Yes, he
By
has.
the way, Brad, tomorrow night, be on your best behavior. The phone lines are going to be up.
There is no promises. When it comes to Kentucky and Tennessee, especially in football, there are no promises.
Well, there you go, everybody.
I might be
Have
like
fun.
the Lyon County coach. I'm just saying.
Oh, you mean Lean Kent?
Whatever.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Oh, shut up, Jared. Everybody has to bring Dallas into this. My God, let's get off of here, man. Like this just went south, man. Like,
Hey. All right, guys.
Oh goodness.
Y'all have a good night. We will see you possibly tomorrow night.
Yeah.
That's what I'm guessing.
Hey, John, be good, buddy. Be good, Brad. Go Cats.